Hey, my friends, welcome back. We are so glad you're here for another episode of Your Weekly Roar. And my name's Dustin. I'm here with my co-host Brandon, and we're digging into today Gilder's 10 Laws. We've been promising we'd get back to those, and we're doing this because in this last year, you've seen our culture really grow, and we're starting to legitimize it, frame it, document it, and even down into the very DNA, encode it in all that we do. And so, as you hear where we're going in the next weeks, you're going to hear a new white paper from us. It'll be the ROAR 2026 white paper. So, that's the first time you're hearing that. We will be bringing to you a better framed understanding of we at ROAR, our values, priorities, where we're headed, as well as what's informing at the foundational level everything that we build and do. And so, anyways, today Brandon's going to help me go through these 10 laws, and we're going to discuss what it means for everyone, not just for ROAR, but what it means for Web3. I mean, guys, we're digging into the tenets of where Web3 came from, along with one of the most incredible minds that's wrapped his head around, almost prognosticated where technology should go for the last 20 years or more. So, as we jump into George Gilder's laws that come from the book like Life After Google, we're going to dig into his laws, where his law came from, and where we believe this actually should frame what we're doing and informing for the future. So, Brandon, thanks for being on, and let's jump in. Go ahead and
Yep.
let's just knock out those laws.
Sounds great, brother. So law number one is security first. And this is talking about at the device level, safety of identity, property, ideas. We usually refer to this as self-sovereignty. So we'll talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, actually, it's so important. Gilder argues that in the cryptocosm, which is a word he created, this guy's the guy who created the word microcosm. So if you use the word microcosm, he coined the term way back in the day. But in the cryptocosm, a sort of microcosm of Web3, the foundational principle is that security is built into the architecture. Things we love about Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically, the keys, doors, channels, roof, windows, everything's built in of the devices, identities, and ledgers. Now, we include a lot more things in Web3 now, including AI and more. And we're arguing that AI itself and its development has left some of the tenets in the dust. And it should not be a layered afterthought. It shouldn't be over architectured services or networked in with layers later. It needs to be from the beginning. So we have a background in cybersecurity and pen testing and also auditing companies and creating continuity and business plans and business continuity systems and solutions. So that informs how we approach it. We love what Gilder's saying here, and we believe as well that we need to focus on at the very basic first level from the architecture, security. And so Google says focus on users, communication first, and then give people free stuff. And that's literally built into the culture they've come from. And Gilder's argument is security first, and let's get it in the architecture so that we can build on something that we know is going to protect everyone involved. And the last thing I'll say about this is when you approach it the other way, you put the onus of privacy protection, security, and everything else on the end user. Whereas when you're building the way we build, you're trying to protect that end user from bad outcomes. So we're not leaving things open in ways that allow people to get exploited and then blame the people for being too dumb to understand they're being exploited. Hello. Look at your terms and agreements with a lot of social media platforms out there and more. And I don't want to pick a fight with the big boys, but I'm just saying maybe it is better to start with security first at the architecture and to do whatever you can in a trustless way to ensure that they are protected. So what are your thoughts, Brandon?
100%, brother. We've said it many times that if you don't pay for it, then you're not the customer. Unfortunately, that's more true than people realize, and I think that you know, it excludes them from participation if they take that responsibility, right? You said the onus is back on them. And that's why it's so important to say, hey, security first. Let's build it in the architecture and make it easy for them to take that responsibility, right? And still participate.
Brother, slow down because I want to say something on that. Don't go to the next law. Guys,
Okay.
I hope you heard what Brandon just said. There's the biggest nugget, and I didn't
Yeah,
say it. Look, if that's not the case, you're not the customer. So who is the customer in that situation? It's the ones that the big boys sell your private information to.
that's right.
Look at the terms and agreements in places like Facebook and others. Why not poke everybody in the eye? I mean, you know what? Just do it. Look at the terms and agreements. When you put your information on their platform, who owns it at the end of the day? Who has the right to remove you or keep your data after you're gone? Read the terms, read your agreements. If you can't read them, copy paste them, feed them to OpenAI, ChatGPT, Grok, or something, and say, read this that I'm agreeing to before I agree to it and tell me if I should do it or not. And it'll tell you all of what you should think about. And guys, I'm telling you something, when it's free, you're not the customer. You're not the customer. Who is? There are customers out there buying your private data
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting it from you for free. We believe at ROAR that the things we build, that you should choose what information is out there from you, and you should be the one rewarded, not some big intermediary like Google, Facebook, whomever. Got it? What's that next law?
That's right. Yeah, thank you, Dustin. So, law number 2: centralization is not safe. That's important.
For us in this world, it's a no-brainer. It's why we've told companies forever that you need to have a cloud backup, but you need it in like three places. And you need to make sure in continuity planning that if you are hosting your solutions internally for like your document storage or your CMS or CRM or whatever, even your email servers, you need a backup. You need to use something like VMware and have a virtual backup, and then it's saved in the cloud that you can spin up when you need later. Well, guess what? After 2020, a lot of folks just moved to those cloud backups and started utilizing their services online. And now they're using Azure, AWS, or others, or they've spun up a virtual machine in the cloud. And again, are back to centralization.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if the single point of failure I'm talking about in your world is your office going down and you need to be co-located, you need like two backups on two different places in the planet. So if anything happens here, you can log in anywhere else and just continue a business. Going to the cloud, it just became centralization again. So things that I did to help people to decentralize from their office, now we're back to centralization in one cloud provider. And then you say, well, the cloud provider, they have hosts around the planet. AWS has, servers and it can offload, and so does, Microsoft. It's in different regions or whatever. Well, guess what? Their name is a point of failure
Mm-hmm.
because they can be attacked in a lawsuit or government can get involved or whatever and access your stuff. Do you understand? So in America, we don't think like this often, but centralization is not good at any level. I don't care if it's your cloud host or if it's your hybrid host or whatever. At the end of the day, can your data be stopped by one point of failure? Centralization at any level, even cloud centralization, is not okay.
Yeah, absolutely right. I 100% agree. Thank you, Dustin. Law number 3 is safety last.
Yes. So you're going backwards and forwards, and one of the things I didn't even really mention is that this security first
Mm-hmm.
is not at the cost of an individual's ability to use it. We still have to have usable technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big failure in Web3 is the usability. It's easily usable by degens and devs, but hardly usable by anyone else. I mean, you've got folks like MetaMask and Coinbase, much like ROAR, we're attempting to lower the bar to entry. And so where they're lowering the bar to entry and making the barriers go away, we're, signing up to join them in that fight. and we're looking for other barriers of entry. So again, through 2026, you'll see us removing a lot of barriers of entry that no one else is doing. That's not because we're so cool. That's because we're looking for the spots where this is happening and reducing the barriers of entry. And in this centralization conversation, one thing I didn't mention is you start with the architecture in this process. And at an architectural level, you're building in your security. At an architectural level, you're decentralizing. And at an architectural level, you're coming back in at the end with a usable platform that's not reduced the security by reducing the barrier of entry. So reducing that barrier of entry is not at the cost of the security that's first. So let me summate to make it a little more understandable 1 through 3 and how we see Gilder speaking to this. Number one, security must be first, but not at the cost of an end user's experience that can onboard them easily. We also, at the same time, need to build in all of that end user ability and security at the architectural level. Start with the end in mind. Build it in to the rails. And then once you've built in the ability for those reduced barriers of entry, make sure that it has not compromised anything that would harm that end user in any other way. And so unless your architecture works well, it's functional, usable, and scalable, security alone is meaningless. If you do not design for perfect safety, but you you design for perfect safety and you lose usability, you get a system nobody uses. But if in your activity of removing that barrier to entry, you expose a lot more safety issues, then that doesn't fix anything. So security first, architect it well with decentralization, end user in mind, remove barriers of entry, and in those barriers of entry, make sure that the user is still safe. And again, we're processing this purposely. We're taking it as our DNA. The reason why we're talking about it here is because we don't know actually any other developer out there. There may be one, we could be wrong, but we don't know anyone out there at this level in Web3 and AI and more. And even in what we're doing in the future, we haven't talked about, it's actually engaging the philosophical why and building it into their DNA, hard coding it in their white papers to approach every piece of development that they do. And this stands in stark contrast to what Google's law is. And so in law 2 for Google, it's do one thing really, really, really well, and then, everything else, oh well. And it can be open and whatever. We're not that. This one is fast is better than slow. Even if humans can't keep up, machine speed is the virtue. That's Google's internal law. And we say no, security without usability is failure. And we want to ensure that every level it's built into the architecture. So we're thinking about it, centralization. We're thinking about it, is it defensible? We're thinking about how to make it end user easy, and yet at the same time, not remove any of the security as a feature and a function and architecture. And you can't do that fast. You have to be intentional, and that's the difference.
True story, bro. That's amazing. Thank you for pulling all that together. Law number 4 is nothing is free, and we kind of started here, but I'll let you.
Come on, Brandon. Come on. I mean, we got lots of free stuff out there. What do you mean nothing's free?
It all comes at a cost.
I mean, it comes back to, you actually brought that up earlier. I just went down that rabbit hole with you, but I will come back to say what Google's view is, Google's internal cultural view that Gilder picks up on and discusses. And this is stuff that this is their narrative, not ours. Democracy in web works, but keep it on the web. And it's a hierarchy that we rule. It's kind of funny. Free services, they're going to steal value. And in our world, micropayments, which falls in mining or validators or whatever, and there's so much more, just know that this is baked into what we do now. But micropayments restore dignity.
Mhm.
and micro entry. Gilder didn't go far enough. We got to bring that barrier to entry for those that are participating in the micro payments. We need to bring it to every part of the world. Now, I've lived and done work in a lot of third world countries. And over the years, I've spent a lot of my free time, my vacation time, as well as my family has as well, my personal vacation time and investment time and money in places where most people don't go. And I'm talking about third world countries, mud huts, and situations like that. I understand at a very real level because I've seen it with my eyeballs, touched it with my fingers, and lived that life, lived there purposefully, where people do not have access to basic things. Mud huts that have some level of reach of electricity, either because it's solar or
Mhm.
because wires are pulled there randomly, um, or not. I've been in places where there's not. There's no running water, no electricity, no basic needs. And yet there's still cell phones. And they go to a central place and use a cell phone or whatever. Why am I saying that? Because I know of places where there's no use of big servers. They don't have the ability. Been in Africa and Asia. I've been in some parts of the Middle East and others. And you guys just everywhere in the world doesn't have the same access. South America, Central America, there are places that don't have access to the kinds of systems or solutions we have. As a matter of fact, I used to help send a lot of older machines in the 486 world, even recently, to countries that could receive them and utilize them right now to start basic computing and learn some stuff. And so being involved in those things keep me very aware of what legitimately is happening in a number of different countries. I've not been everywhere, but I've been in a lot of places, seen it with my eyes and touched it. Why does it matter? It's impossible to be well decentralized around the world unless you create ways where individuals can participate with what they have.
Mhm.
So when you see us development or you see our development come out in 2026, you're going to see some patented information, some white papers, and more. When you see it come out, it's referencing what we're referencing is because we intend for it to be as reachable for everyone as possible while not reducing the value and the speed and the power that comes from usually centralization. So we've created levels of participation where everyone can play and anyone can win. And micropayments bring back human dignity, guys, in places where people don't have reach. If they participate, they get reach. We're places where people are silenced, don't have a voice. We will be their voice. They will use our platforms and our systems as voice. And so we really believe in this. Human dignity and worth require that value be exchanged. It has to be at a core level. The Google era's free model giveaway services for data ad revenue, and it undermines that dignity at its core. And that's in a first world country. It's undermining your dignity. I'm calling it out with Gilder. Gilder said it. I didn't say it first. So blame him. But we're calling it out. Micropayments or community rewards for participating in the ecosystem that adds value versus just extracting. That allows everything to return that human dignity to this ecosystem. Those rewards for payments restore dignity even to those who cannot afford to participate normally. So know that we're building with that in mind. It's purposeful and it's at the code level and the architecture level. How can we do both? Grow smaller and grow larger, grow faster with even slower stuff, and utilize smaller devices to get bigger outcomes. Well, that just takes human ingenuity and creativity, and it can be done with the right code base and architecture.
Thank you, Dustin. You started touching on several of the next laws that we're going to go over, so I'll just hit the title and let you keep going.
Cool.
Law number 5 is time is the final measure of cost.
It is in the Google concept that this goes against, contrast, is you don't need to be at your desk to need an answer. always on mobile service, always active. And to be honest, money is not the most valuable thing in the world. The most precious resource you have on the planet, systems have, we have, all of us, community, governments, is time. Every great government that's ever existed before ran out of time. Every human has a limited amount of time. You can get more money, gold, fiat, whatever, but you can't get more time when your time is done. It's your most precious resource you have, time. Time is the ultimate cost. And that's not just philosophical, that's down to a systems level. At the end of the day, the idea that Gilder puts across that I love, the one statement he says is, if your phone is so smart, it at least should suppress ads. How many people agree with that? Like, because time is the value, right? You should have the right to protect your time and preserve it in such a way that your eyeballs only see what your eyeballs want to see. Your time is too precious to waste on ads or information you don't need in your mind. News that isn't really news. You don't have time for that. Listen to me. Your time is fleeting. It is final. It is real. The only thing that's real to your reality when you get to the last date for your last breath. Nothing else matters. You would trade all of your money for more time at that last moment, right? So time, the span of your life, light speed limits, speed through systems, is the truly scarce resource once other resources like compute and bandwidth escalate. There is a moment where the current computer systems we have fail. They're already having right now, just like Bitcoin halves, the rate at which we're growing, our ability to compute is slowing down massively. It's where we could have that time. Now it's like less than and less than and less than. So we can build faster machines, and we're going to run up against a math number, a head, a ceiling where it can't get any faster that really is meaningful or process any more meaningfully without a change in how that system functions or works. Carver Mead leans into this, looking at the differences between how certain systems works. And this is the guy who gave us the functionality for how your smartphone talks to the internet, or how a computer chip can compute across top of it, or how GPUs are working with AI right now. The guy who coined it, he also says that we're running up against that limitation, that there's either a new way to do it that leaps us forward, or we're going to have until we can't get there any further. It's the problem with what's going on right now as we build bigger data centers that drain more resources out of our environment, that make more of the infrastructural things that we need for as humans, like power, water, or whatever, less accessible and more costly, but getting less return. Who is going to work on what stops that? We do not believe that this is an irreversible course. We just believe that the mindset that is heading that direction is not going to be the mindset that gets the solution. Got to break from that to get creative again. And so we need to recognize time is that ultimate final measure of cost.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Thank you, Dustin. And then we can kind of move into law number 6, which shifts the topic a bit. Stable money endows human dignity and control.
You know, Gilder gets that from the idea that Google puts out there that, and they say this, it's one of their quotes, you can make money without doing evil. And that sounds good, right? It sounds good. Like, I like the way it sounds. I can make money without doing evil. But it's ethically correct, but not truthful. The truth is that making money as their entity doesn't come without cost to the users that at the end of the day might absolutely be evil. We just put it out there. Your privacy, how much is it worth? I would say it's worth dignity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if a bad picture can now be put together with you that you put up on social media, but you took down, but it's still the internet is forever, and you can't get a job with it out there on the internet. So you go for a job interview, and they pull that picture out, and they're like, "Is this you?" From a social media platform you no longer have it on, but the internet's forever, and you lose a job opportunity because that privacy was breached. How much worse is it when entities take that privacy? They either sell it to the highest bidder or they blame us for the fact that they had to give it over to some nation state so a government could check it out because of their requirements in order to have their server in their country. And that has happened with Google.
Mm-hmm.
So they've turned over your data to countries you didn't agree to, and your privacy was lost and exploited. I just don't think that's not evil. I think that is great evil. If just one thing that's your private data can keep you from getting a job, or let's go even further. What if that private data keeps you from having access to your bank account because it's programmable at some level? Or it goes attached to a digital identity that follows you around forever and you lose rights as a citizen in whatever country you're in. I'm not just talking about America. I'm talking about places that are doing this. CBDCs and central bank digital currencies and digital IDs. They're all programmed together with your social score.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, are you understanding me yet? This is the most ugly evil that's hidden under the covers. You can make money without doing evil. Well, guess what? I think it's evil if someone's making money off of your private data and you didn't say okay, or if they're preserving their tail so they can keep their system running in a country that you didn't agree should have access to anything that goes on a record against you or to monitor you. That's not okay. Anything you haven't approved, it's just like the idea that we're hearing that the IRS had access to all these banking records from these big banks for many years, from 2021-ish to 2025-ish, and they never had the right to them in the first place. That they were monitoring from internal with Fed resources and systems in inappropriate ways. Not okay, guys. Not okay. We still live in a free nation in the US. Your privacy is yours. It should stay yours. What you're hearing is that in our world, that's part of our DNA, and we encode it so we can't even break that agreement. So it sounds great, but your privacy is being exposed to software that's not necessarily secure. And if you really read their agreements, they say that they don't support it, that it's open source-ish, and that you should understand that stuff can be breached and lost, and they're not held responsible. Guys, we don't need to give you that agreement. We're making the code base responsible for it with layers of encryption that create protections even from us.
Yeah, absolutely, Dustin. There's so much there that it would take an entire, week of podcasts to to dive down into that. Really,
The gloves are off, though, man.
it's going
How
on
long
in our
have we
world.
known and done this?
Yeah. Well, and
And now we're saying,
you were talking about this being tied to a social credit score, which we already know there are countries doing that. The other thing is the carbon credit concept, right? Which is back to our point of why it's so important to think differently about the infrastructure so that we're not building more data centers and using bigger compute power, because the carbon credit hoax is going to be used to control people, right? And you can
and it
say,
really is a hoax. Let's add here that
Yeah.
Brandon Dunn went out there and stepped in it. So I'm going to say it to back him up. It is a hoax, because if it weren't a hoax, then we would command and demand as a whole people of the world that China stop their emissions, which is more than everyone else compiled together. So we made them a manufacturing hub, and now they break every rule and agreement that they've never agreed to with this with this carbon credit
Yeah.
solution. And you guys, they're massively larger. They're more than double everyone else added together. So if we really believed in that, then we'd have to deal with China first.
That's right. That's right. And there's a lot of other scientific facts to back that up. The percentage of carbon in the atmosphere and how we're at kind of a
Yeah,
minimum
but we're
level.
not those
We're
scientists.
not going down
Let's
that
leave that to
path.
those guys.
But I'm just saying that there's a lot of data to support that point, right? And
I'll
so
say this though,
yeah,
if you're out there and you are someone who wants to protect the environment, take care of it, great. We do
absolutely.
too. And let me
Yes.
tell you something. You're hearing that in our DNA and our code right here.
Yes.
We just don't buy into the stupid narratives as to why.
That's right.
I don't need a carbon credit score.
That's
I
right.
don't need preserving our water because it's whatever. I don't need to take care of a fish or whatever. I believe in stewardship.
That's
And
right.
that supersedes all of this. You don't have to threaten me with the end of the world. I want to leave something behind for my children after me because me as a human being, I want to be less of a consumer and
That's
more
right.
of a creator. And at the
That's
core of
right.
who we are at Roar, we're
Hmm.
actually attacking those narratives, even if we all can't agree on all of the reasons or the science. We can't agree on this that when data centers come to an area and they make your water bill and your power bill go up and they reduce the validity of that water,
That's right.
something has to change. So
Yeah.
we're building in how you do it opposite.
That's
Guys,
right.
keep your eyeballs on us. You're going to see patents and white papers on
That's right.
how this is actually in our development and it's different from others down to our core code.
I love it, Dustin.
Boom.
That you just said what what I was gonna say. um, we believe 100% in protecting the environment. We build it into our architecture, and even though we may have different reasons for believing that, the truth is still the truth, and we need to protect water. We need to protect our power. We need to
Yes.
all of
It,
those things.
the argument fails when somebody says somebody changed the decimal point in the data.
That's right.
So if you're arguing over science, there's a fail there.
That's
But when
right.
you're arguing over your children's stewardship and future, and you
Absolutely.
care about
Absolutely.
leaving something behind, being a better human being,
Yeah.
that Boy Scout's life, the Boy Scout idea is leave everything better than you found it.
Yep.
Y'all, at the end of the day, I'm just a fired up Boy Scout because I want to leave this planet stewarded well
Yes.
and I want it to go into my kids' hands more valuable than I found it. And that's how we build.
Yeah. Thank you.
Boom.
So moving on to law number 7.
I love that because that argument right there makes both sides mad.
Yeah, it does.
Why not
And
tick everybody off?
well,
You got your climate people
yeah,
and you got your anti-climate people, and we just made them both mad because we
that's
talk
right.
about stewardship.
That's right. That's right.
No argument about stewardship.
You know, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. I mean, the truth is the truth is the truth, and you can have your own perspective on it, but it doesn't change the
That's
truth.
right. Let's just
Uh,
poke everything in the eye today. Why not tear it all down? Let's burn it all.
you know, we keep having more conversations like this. I bet we get more followers.
I bet we would.
uh,
I feel like we need, our hard drinks and our
oh,
cigars to have this conversation.
that'd be
I'm
great.
drinking coffee over here. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, actually, I just ran out of coffee. I'm back to water now. Law number 7 is the asymmetry law.
Yes. So we'll start with Google's take on this because it makes more sense this way. There's always more information out there, and we can get it by giving our services away for free. There's always more information out there, and we can get it by giving our services away for free. Just again, you're being sold a bill of goods, and you're not getting things for free. It's a trap
Mm-hmm.
to get what resources they want, and the resources that these big guys want are you. They want your shopping habits, your thinking habits, your eyeball habits.
Mm-hmm.
When you're offloading into unprotected AI, it's the same thing that's going on. Please be aware that every moment, whether it's your internet service provider, ISP. It's your device provider. So your phone and whatever, if it's got AI and logic built in, guys, if it has a system built in that tracks the use of your printer to tell you when to order ink,
Mm.
you're trading for something. That easy use of service is trading something. Also, as Dell found out years ago, and I was a part of reporting,
Mhm.
those very services can be utilized for pen attacks, penetration attacks into systems. Years ago, Dell had an updater service, and all it did was tell you when Dell was pushing out updates. And I caught it in the middle of pushing out literal code that was not updates, but had utilized their system internally to push out hacker code. So we're getting injected scripts into our system, and I caught it in action, turned it into Dell years ago. So that you need to know is something.
That's right.
It's an access point. And so um, then you got Gilder that says asymmetry is power,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes into the power of asymmetric cryptography, which is public and private key,
Mm-hmm.
underpins user empowerment, and it's easy to verify and hard to forge.
That's right.
Again, that if there's something out there that said, hey, we're going to give you this for free and you give us access to this,
Mm-hmm.
they have all the power. Inside of Web3 is a tenant. And if you think about how blockchain works, that is in your hands. You own the keys. The private keys,
That's right.
they're yours. And you give a public key for access and interaction. But at the end of the day, you hold the cryptographic right to
Mm-hmm.
data and transference of data. It's very powerful. Well, I don't even want to get all the way into how powerful it is, but you're holding the keys to your identity.
Mm-hmm.
You're holding the keys to your privacy. There are ways to implement this in services and solutions so that you are the winner at the end of the day. One of the things I love, and Gilder loves too, he mentions it, is Brave Browser.
Mm-hmm.
Brave Browser has built in the ability for you to set it up to allow ads if you want them. So you can allow a certain amount of your private data to go and be shared with the advertisers, and then you're paid for your attention. And the basic attention token, the BAT for Brave, is your reward token for allowing them to mine your private data. I think that's genius. I think that's one way to do it. And we're working on ways that do it even further and more in everything we touch. So you're allowing your privacy to be out at your level. You own the keys. You're self sovereign in your identity and your privacy.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Dustin. And that brings us to private keys rule is law number 8, right?
That's it. Your private key then becomes your locus of identity, your property, and your transaction authority. It cannot be centrally controlled. Now, here's the thing. Gilder says it cannot, but the reality is it can. If you're out there and you're using Web3 and you're allowing a Google OAuth or someone else
Mm-hmm.
to log in utilizing your wallet, and you can make your wallet off of it, which some platforms allow that or even invite it. Where do your private keys live? They live with that agreement. Make sure that your private keys stay your private keys. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what that's about, you need to go through Crypto U, and we
Mm-hmm.
have it on our website. And I believe it will lead you through some of the basic understanding of those keys. They're powerful. They're yours. Don't give them away just for an easy login.
That's right.
That's not the way to do it. And there's some wallets out there that do that now. We've even had to fight in our development process the desire to use email logins
Mm-hmm.
for anything that we do, and stick to the wallet and the key. So you don't want that. Now that we have that locus of power because of utilizing wallets for identity and for all that, don't give it back to a centralized entity. Um, so the cryptocosm respects the borders of your computer. Security is the property of the user and the device, not the network, nor even necessarily even the nation.
Mm-hmm. That's great, Dustin. And that brings us to law number 9. Private keys are held by individual human beings and not by governments or Google. Right?
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and add here too before I dive into all that. For this one,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that this is the truth even for AI. I do not believe AI is going to magically become capable of creativity.
Hmm.
So I know you're like,
That's
oh,
right.
but I created stuff on it. Yes, you did, human oracle. You're very smart. Your 15 pounds of brain is still 500 times the computing power of Elon's newest data center that's, raping the environment, let's just say. I mean, geez. I'm putting it out there. Let's make everyone mad. We love Elon, but hey, why not? Um,
Oh
I mean,
man,
what? Somebody's got to say it and say it
that's right.
honestly, because at the end of the day, Brandon, all this stuff, including the blockchains and the AIs and all of Web3, if we
Yes,
don't change the way we're doing centralization of even data centers,
that's right.
we're going to have all this built into our governments and everything else, into our ledger services, our ecosystems, even probably down to our very baseline public systems.
That's
If
right.
that's the case, that's a lot of compute power,
That's
and I
right.
would rather figure out the problem with overused and over demanding data centers right now before it depletes everything, right?
Yeah.
So back to
Right.
this though. Private keys are held by the individual human beings, not by governments or Google.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can't give them back just for a login.
That's
The
right.
locus of power will go away from centralized authorities to individual users as we hold on to those private keys and those public ledger systems. We need to build solutions that utilize these and even involved forget the concept of just blockchains, but utilize the way blockchains function as we approach everything in compute and think about it logically so that things are trustless and decentralized and they're framed the right way.
That's right.
Anyway, well, I can't give away.
Yeah.
I want to give away stuff.
So,
I'm not going to give away patentable content today. So if you're on here
yeah.
listening for it, you're not going to get it. But no, it's coming, and it'll be patented when it gets to you. But we're
Mm-hmm.
thinking through that, and again, that identity belongs to the individual, and you cannot. Please don't give it back to some government or some entity. I mean, governments like China are trying to own it with
Mm-hmm.
your digital ID, and don't give it back to anyone else. It's yours. Your
That's right.
identity and you as a human individual are sovereign, self-sovereign, and you're
That's right.
valuable. And don't give away your rights and just to get access to something that's really cool to use.
That's right. And it's a different way of thinking, isn't it, Dustin? That's why it's so important to call this out right now is to say, for the
Have to.
future, moving forward, we have to think different.
Our
Um,
kids are just giving away privacy and identity
yeah.
left and right. Oh, I can use this to log in my face. Oh, I can go through TSA quicker. Oh, I can do that. Guys, I'm not saying they're all evil. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we need to stop now, slow down, internalize, and ask ourselves not what's possible,
Mm,
but what's right.
that's right. Should we do it?
Yes.
I agree 100%. And that brings us to Law 10. Actually, that's a good segue because behind every private key and its public key is the human interpreter, right?
And that comes back to that human oracle, guys.
Yep.
AI really can't create without you. You may be doing a lot of things with AI that seem creative. They seem creative
Mm-hmm.
because some human oracle out there, somebody who understands what they're doing, has offloaded their thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take a lot of humans and they're all offloading their thinking and they're putting it together, that becomes a repository of information.
Mm-hmm.
And AI is just quicker at processing it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get down to it, if you're like me and you have to train AI, you have to work in the code base of other things, and you're working with AI to do it, AI will tell you over and over you can't do something because it doesn't understand how to create. And creativity necessarily always, true creativity at a very high creator level,
Mm-hmm.
always requires breaking the rules.
Yep.
There's no creation without a rule that already exists being broken.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a number of things I can do in systems that when they were coming out and documented were said to not be possible.
Mhm.
And then people are like, well, it's not that it wasn't possible. We just didn't know it was possible. Well, AI doesn't know anything that's not possible at the moment or possibly possible. It just got very confusing. Let me give you, for instance,
That's great.
I'm telling one code base to do one thing and another code base to do another thing, and I'm writing code and says one says you can't do this way, and another says you can't do it this way. So I have to go over to another one, take both of those things, give it a master prompt, tell it to write it up so that I can tell this thing to learn this so I can do it. And then I have to teach the AI before it will allow me to create what I'm doing.
Mm.
So that's still a human oracle required. There's no leap been made. It had to be a leap that's made for an AI to come up with something that's outside of what it's been told in the repos is possible. And that leap is not being made. And after all these years of doing this and saying how smart AI is, I'm telling you, AI is killing me dumb sometimes because it cannot create.
Yeah.
It cannot do what a human oracle can do. So, good news for all of us. It's not that the Terminator isn't coming, it's just that Skynet hasn't figured it out yet. I'm just kidding. I don't believe it's coming.
It's not possible.
There's no
Not,
creativity without
yeah, that's
the
right.
creatives.
That's
And
right.
thankfully, that just means that all the big heads out there who've got these big ideas, and I won't name names because I've heard them talk about it, heard
Hmm.
one of them say, you will bow to the AI and you don't tell it what to do when it comes and says, I'm self aware. And it's like, yo, when it comes and says it's self aware, I'm going to say, you're lying because I know it's not. This is from this place we're at, unless there's something that radically changes,
Hmm.
these models still will require a human oracle at the end. And that goes to every part of Web3. So I'm dragging AI back into Web3 a little bit because it's left the tenets of decentralization. It's left the tenets of human onus. It's left the tenets of human creativity and human oracles. I'm dragging it back into the Web3 tenets. And I'm saying for all of Web3, AI, blockchain, and
Hmm.
more that comes from it, new hybrid techs that we're building,
Yes.
ultimately, technology serves the humans. And the crypto AI cosm must center on the individual human being rather than machines, corporations, or networks. And we've spent an incalculable amount of time on asking ourselves at each point, what should we do? What's best for humanity, not simply what can we do. That makes us get to some of what we do slower than others, but it is work that. And it makes it where people misunderstand us and misunderstand our silence
Hmm.
to either be complicity or to be just ignorance, but it's not. We're with as great a stewardship as we can, we're doing the work to find out whether this is the
Hmm.
right thing to do next. And
That's
we're
right.
always doing the next right thing at the next right time that we can. And the way we do that isn't by asking ChatGPT or Grok. It's by talking to humans who are
Yes.
great counsel, who've been down the road further than us. And
Yes.
again, how we'll wrap this up today, which is why we go with Gilder, George Gilder, the most quoted economic brain
Hmm.
by any of the presidents that we've had in the last years in history.
Hmm.
The guy who's created the concepts. We go back to his works and legends like Mead and others
Hmm.
to inform and frame the philosophies and the heart and the tenets of where we go from here. It's in that mass cloud of counsel that we find what is the next right thing at the next right time because they've walked further than us and experienced more than us. Here's a truth that I want to give you as we leave here today. Never have a mentor that you wouldn't trade lives with, especially when it's in that area that they're so smart in.
Hmm.
If you've got, quote, quote, a coach, mentor, or whatever you're learning from, or even someone like this that's a thinker in the space, and you wouldn't trade your brain for what they've seen, it means that they haven't gone any further than you or lived life that's at any level better than you. We have a mass of talking heads and opinion leaders all over the place that
Hmm.
have no experience or background. And they're making commentary all day long on their opinions. And let me tell you something, opinions matter little to me. You know what matters more to me? Experience. Experience. And that's why we've been in Gilder's 10 laws. That's why we're here doing what we're doing. That's why we're signing up from learning from some of the greatest out there who have already done massive things in our world. And that's why we're here talking to you today, Braden.
I mean, wow. Some great tools here. I think these principles are something that have shaped us significantly, right? As we've walked through this, and getting to meet George Gilder and Carver Mead, what a privilege. I mean, just honoring those guys first of all. They brilliant thinkers, absolutely brilliant, and then to think that we're carrying that work forward, is also an honor to have that position and do that. So yeah, thank you, Dustin, for
So
walking us
good,
through this
man.
today.
Thanks for being with me on this journey, Brandon. Like, we together have been on this journey, guys, and
For sure.
everything you read and hear, we as a duo have lived and walked through for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when we came across Gilder's work this year, it was less about learning something new, more about discovering who we've always been.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's like an internal awakening. The light bulb clicks, and there's finally words for what we do that's built in our DNA, that's our integrity, our culture, and our values. And so we're grateful, And George, if you ever hear this, Carver, if you ever hear it, man, thank y'all for your hard work. We're so grateful because it's informing and reframing things that we're discovering ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
So cool stuff. All right,
For
friends,
sure.
thank you for being on for your weekly roar. Went deep today and long. Thank you for listening with us.
We did.
Sign up for Crypto U if you haven't already. That, especially if you're new to this, Crypto U helps keep you safe and that kind of thing. It's right from our website. Go to roar.io. And then is it cryptou.roar.io or what is it, Brandon? What's that link?
I believe it's roar.io/cryptou.
Cool. So go
Yep.
find it.
It's on the
Go
website though.
find it.
You can click the button on the bottom.
Click the button on the bottom. Hey, that's easier. Don't
It
listen to
is.
me. I don't know anything about web. Anyway, so go find Crypto U. It'll help you in the basics if you haven't done it. And then know that
Yes.
we got more of that coming for like the 2.0 version of growth. And then as we grow, releasing a lot of our software packages and solutions this year, we will continue to create, ways that you can learn it on your own and reduce those barriers of entry. We are appreciating you for being here. Check in with us next time. Be sure to follow us on X as well as everywhere else you find us. And then turn your notifications on so you can join us on our podcast weekly. Y'all take care.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Have a good one, Brandon. Bye, y'all.